Help a brother out. You know what I'm saying? It's your favorite comedian, Elon Rich, and I finally saw The Disaster Artist. A little background on why it took me so long to review this is because they aren't showing it in my town. They aren't showing it in a lot of theaters. I thought this was like a really big release because at first it got like a slightly like limited release, and then it was supposedly in theaters everywhere, not here. It was really frustrating to have to find a movie theater. Even when I went back to where I live, where my parents live, I even had a hard time finding it there. There were most theaters it wasn't in there. The Disaster Artist is one of, if not the funniest movie I've ever seen. This is an homage, is an ode to the classic, so good, so bad that it's good, The Room. If you've seen The Room, you can appreciate every single joke. Like, I was literally in the theater crying. I love the exploration of this film of the bizarreness of Tommy Wiseau as well as the genuineness of him. Because as bizarre as he is, his ingenuity, you know the word I'm trying to say, is even bigger. He doesn't see himself as bizarre. That's one of those things that people say about crazy people. A crazy person doesn't know that they're crazy. And I'm not saying that Tommy Wiseau is crazy, but his bizarreness, he doesn't see it that way. He's 100% serious usually with most things they say. Sometimes he's joking, sometimes he's joking, talking about, you don't want to share bed with me? Like, stuff like that is like, oh, it was like James Franco. This is one of the best impersonations I've like ever seen of somebody impersonating somebody. Like, this is Ray levels of impersonation, but funny. This film will have you laughing. This film will almost make you cry. I was really close. And it was so crazy because it was just immediately after I had just laughed out loud at something. And there's a scene where Tommy Wiseau and Greg are on a roof. Tommy had just gotten made fun of at what looked to be an audition or something like that. And he's looking out into the distance and he says, "They don't want me." I was, oh God. It's because as much, as weird as you think Tommy Wiseau is, he's a person. He has a heart. You see that the fact that James Franco was able to convey that heart and that same sense of humor was amazing to me. Like, I don't feel like anybody else could have did this with the dedication that he had. I also found it interesting. Supposedly there's footage of the entire process of how The Room was created. I'm glad they implemented that into the film. It's not just showing them filming the film, but also the behind the scenes stuff, because supposedly that footage exists and James Franco has seen it, but we haven't gotten to see it. Probably based on the success of this and the re-release of The Room. That's another great thing about this movie. It's allowed The Room to get a theatrical release. Anything is possible. I love the way that this film also pokes fun at obvious plot holes in The Room. The I've got breast cancer that never comes back up. I loved it. Oh man. This movie is one of my favorite movies of the year, probably almost of all time. It was just perfect. I left out of the theater just talking like Tommy for about like a good a good 2 hours maybe. I'll say 2 hours. It was mesmerizing at how funny a movie can be. And how aware a person can be of themselves. Because like there are certain aspects of ourselves that we see one way and everybody else sees another way. But Tommy sees himself as a very passionate, funny guy, as a hero. And people kept calling him the villain in the movie, that he looks like a villain, but he saw himself as a hero. Self-perception versus image is very important in this movie, because the way Tommy saw his movie was not the way everybody else saw his movie. And watching the ending when they're watching The Room, was literally the most honest I've ever seen anything. Because you start off when you watch The Room, you're like, you're silent because you're like, what is this? Like, are we serious? And then as it goes on, you start to laughing because it's that bad, and that is funny, and you actually enjoy the badness of that movie. There are a lot of bad movies out there, but they're not enjoyable. And The Room is enjoyable. And that's where the geniusness almost of Tommy Wiseau comes out, and it doesn't even make any sense, but it works. It works. I will say Dave Franco's Greg was a little one-dimensional. He didn't wow me as Greg. Then again, I don't fully know how Greg acts all the time, so this could have been him exactly acting how Greg acts. It just seemed like another Dave Franco funny character. When this movie got serious, it got serious. And there were times where it wanted to be serious, but I think with the voice that Tommy has, sometimes it's not. It depends on your perception. Like, I'm gonna giggle at almost everything Tommy says. I just want to say I'm very glad I got to see this. It was a hard journey. I'm like a month late with this review, but hey, I just wanted to let y'all know that The Disaster Artist is one of the best movies you're gonna watch in 2017. And if you haven't watched The Room before it, I feel like you could appreciate it, but you won't appreciate it as much as if you did. So I'm gonna say watch The Room before, because they even give you scenes side to side at the end of comparisons of them, and the timing is like a little different on the new version, but still, you won't have more fun at the movies than watching The Disaster Artist. Spoiler, there's an after credits scene. Marvel. They have Tommy Wiseau playing somebody else, talking to James Franco as Tommy Wiseau. Oh, that was so funny. They even have Tommy Wiseau talking in the credits with the music. He's mouthing the music. It's comedy all throughout this film. This is one of the funniest movies you're gonna ever watch. I'm gonna give The Disaster Artist a 10 out of 10. This is my personal opinion. I feel as if everybody did a great job. The cast was amazing. All the little cameos was really fun. And James Franco knocked it out of the park, out of the planet, into the solar system, bounced off of Jupiter, hit on Saturn, got burned by the sun. If you like this video or any of my videos, hit the like button, share on Facebook, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and most importantly, laugh, I guess, you know? I couldn't think of nothing that time. Peace. Now look at you walking in here looking all pretty and angry and mean and good. I know you didn't get your hair done so you can just sit down and just sit still.
Hey, we trying to have a good time tonight. Let's go, baby. Let's go.